Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about journaling. I'm going to describe my own personal journaling system and why I think journaling can be such a great tool for understanding both yourself and also what you really want out of life. So with that said, let's crack into it. Alright, so I'm going to begin the video by talking a little bit about how I personally got into journaling, and maybe once I've told the story, you'll be able to decide about whether you think it's something that could be of some benefit to you. I first got into journaling at the end of 2014, and the main reason was that I think a lot, I have a lot of thoughts, and I knew that there was there were certain ways I wanted to steer the course of my life, month by month, week by week, but I was kind of trying to do it all in my head, right? And unless you're some kind of genius, in my experience, it's very hard to just do it in your head. You want to write stuff down because it helps to effectively detangle your thoughts, right? So if you imagine a ball of, or just a load of Christmas lights, right? That's all tangled up into this big messy ball. What journaling effectively allows you to do is it allows you to take that ball and go, okay, sort of just detangle it, lie it out in a straight line. You're like, okay, I can see that much more clearly now. And that's how I started. And since the end of 2014, I have done at the very least one journal entry per month, although there's lots of different approaches you can take to it. But to start with, I'm going to talk about something very, very basic, what you're going to need. So you're going to need three things: pens, a ruler, and a notebook. Very simple. But I do want to stress that, in my opinion, it is important to buy good quality products, right? Journaling is something that's quite important to me, and I think to get the best out of it, it should be something that you take seriously as well. So for that reason, the notebooks that I use for my journals and the pens that I use are actually quite good quality. They're a little more pricey than they could be, but the reason why I go for notepads like this with the finest quality paper and this specific type of Uniball Vision Elite pen, right? It seems a bit over the top. Why would you go and spend more money on something as simple as a pen? But the fact is that having these good products makes it into a kind of really relaxing and rewarding ritual, right? A lot of R's there. The more that you take pride in your journal and in the journaling process, and the more you don't just try and rush it, the more you can get out of it. So it's one of those things where it's like, the more you put in, the more you get out, right? And so for that reason, in my opinion, it's important to spend perhaps a little more to get something a little bit better quality. But if you can't afford it, that's also fine. Just work with whatever you've got. What I have done, what I generally normally do, is at the end of each month, so usually one of the last days of the month, or perhaps the first of the next month, is I'll write one substantial journal entry. And this usually takes me about an hour, sometimes two if I've got a lot to talk about to myself. And sometimes I'll do more mini entries, but the general staple, my bare minimum that I've allowed for myself, if you like, is one substantial entry at the end of each month. That's how frequently I do my journal entries. Now let's get onto the actual journaling itself. How do I begin? The first thing that I write is I just write the date at the top. Underline it, and then that's the title. And then to begin the actual writing process, the first sort of chunk, or the first thing that I basically generally talk about, is what I did during the month that's just gone by, right? Now, you don't have to write everything you did. You don't have to go into too much detail, but I like to talk about just sort of the main events that had gone on, the main things that I enjoyed or didn't enjoy, basically the things that were the most significant events, right? And as I'm writing, or as you're writing what's happened in the month, you also talk a little bit about basically how you felt about the individual events, right? And if you want to be really regimented with this, you can go like event, feelings, but generally I find it's better if it's a more sort of organic, fluid kind of process. So you're talking about what happened, and you're also talking about how you felt, what you thought about it, what you learnt from it. So after I've basically just sort of outlined all the main events and what I thought about them of the part of the month that's just gone, then I will talk more generally about how I feel the month has gone for me, right? So, and obviously you can do this too. What I will talk about is I will talk about just whether I thought it was a good month or not. So here I might have something like, this was a super productive month, I'm so pleased with how this went. Or I might have something like, I feel like I was, perhaps a bit too lazy this month, not getting on with things as I should have been. Try not to, beat yourself up when you're doing this, but be kind of realistic and it's all about, trying to understand and be honest about how you think things have gone, right? So that's sort of the second section. And then the last part of the journal entry is effectively writing about how you're going to approach and what your goals are for the next month. Kind of just so you can either list specific goals, right? But you can also just talk about how you generally want to approach the next month on a more abstract level. For example, if it's become obvious from the entry that you've just written about the previous month that you're starting to tire or you're starting to burn out, then it's kind of obvious here that what you need to do for the next month is perhaps let your foot off the gas a little bit, right? Sort of just don't push yourself so hard, because it's counterproductive to have month after month after month of just 110%, man. No, like you want to be sustainable, right? So if you've been pushing yourself too hard for the previous month and you've become aware of that through the journaling process, you might want to say, okay, so I think I need to approach this month a little bit more relaxed, right? But the converse could also be the case. So it may be that you've been too lazy this past month and you need to, tighten up a little bit. You need to work a bit harder. The goal by the end is that you feel like you have more clarity and you just generally feel better afterwards. If you put something into it, you get something out of it, as I said. I should note that although I've said one substantial entry at the end of the month, there's no reason why you can't do sort of mini entries midway through, right? Or perhaps you might find that you want to do one once a week. Really, it's about finding a system that works for you. So I've described a system that sort of served me for a long time, and you can try that if you think that it will be useful. If you've never done journaling before, you may find that spending just 1 hour at the end of every month, that's all it is. You get a lot of bang for your buck, as it were, if buck is time. And that's it. You don't have to journal if you don't want to, but you may find that it is a useful way of understanding both yourself and what your more long-term goals really are, what you really desire, and how to get there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.